Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes of the Half Shell, Turtle Power.
Turtle Power.
Yes. What is up, Ninja Turtle fans, movie fans alike? Welcome back to the channel. I am Diao, and this is another edition of my life. And finally, I know I pushed it back so many times. I said I was going to get it started, and I didn't, but we're finally here. We are on the road to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, being released in August, the beginning of August, literally the beginning of August, I think the first week of August.
Yeah, it's soon.
Yeah, it's coming around the horizon. It's almost going to be July soon. So we're going to go back and talk about every theatrical release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles leading up to Mutant Mayhem. And today we're gonna start with the one we're gonna do the one that started it off. Please forgive me. I was a bit out of it today, so hopefully we're gonna stay focused here. But yeah, anyway, today we're gonna talk about the one that started it all the way back in 1990. We're gonna talk about the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a live-action film. And joining with me today, once again, I have fellow YouTuber Big B.
Hey, glad to be here. Yet another franchise that I'm actually really happy about, that I love talking about. So definitely eager to get into this franchise and excited for the new one coming out.
Yes. And hopefully we will have a smoother time talking about these films than we did with Transformers.
Oh, I imagine. It might be one bad apple, but besides that.
Right. I'm thinking like at least one and a half. We'll get there when we get there. But before we begin, let's look at the comments. We got Daily Reacts TV says he loves this movie. We definitely will talk about it. Blue Jay saying, "Damn!" We'll definitely talk about that moment in the movie as well. But anyway, let's get into this film. Let's talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And as always, we have to remind the viewers out there that this is a spoiler-filled discussion. I think that goes without saying. This movie came out over 20 years ago. So, God, if you have not seen this original movie, what are you doing? Go find it. I'm sure you can find it someplace. I'm surprised that Paramount hasn't gotten the rights to the original movies. I checked. They only had the Michael Bay ones.
Yeah, I think they have the Michael Bay ones, and then they have the one Ninja Turtles movie from that had the 2003 Turtles in there. So Yeah, it's not a lot.
Not a lot, and of course, the shows that they produce, like the
Right.
2014 one and the Rise, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all that stuff. But anyway, you have been warned. Okay, so when it comes to my history with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I am a fan. I did grow up watching almost every incarnation of the Ninja Turtles, very similar to Transformers. Um, However, I do have an unpopular opinion when it comes to the Ninja Turtles, because I know for a lot of people, the version of the Turtles that a lot of people grew up on, or is like the most popular when it comes to Ninja Turtles, they talk about the '80s cartoon. That's the show that really like launched them into the pop culture and stuff like that. And I'm gonna break some hearts out there. Like I know there's a lot of people that love that '80s cartoon, but for me, I did not like it. I didn't like it. For me, it's not that I don't like the. It's not that I think it's completely like unwatchable. Like there's some things about it that I do enjoy. I do like the world building and the characters are still interesting. But for me, and I feel like when it comes to influences from the '80s cartoon that keeps bleeding over to other versions, I'm personally getting sick of the cowabunga, what's up, dude, eating pizza like that. I'm so tired of seeing that version through so many other versions we've gotten over the past few years. Because for me, my one of my favorite versions of the Turtles is more from the black and white comic from Eastman and Laird. I like the black and white comics, and not a lot of people talk about that version of the Turtles, because it's not, it doesn't appeal to children or families as much as the '80s cartoon. So I understand it's not as easy to market with the black and white stuff than the cartoon. So I understand, but for me, like I just like to see the turtles in a more darker, more sophisticated direction because I think that's the more interesting version, to be honest. Like over the past few years, we did start to see versions that like was able to strike a good balance between the two. For me, my favorite overall like show of the turtles is the 2003 cartoon. I think
Absolutely.
that I think struck a perfect balance between the lighthearted stuff and the dark stuff from the comics. Um, and I feel like ever since then, I haven't really found a version that like was able to quite live up to that standard, at least in my opinion. There's a couple that came close. We'll talk about it as we get into the franchise, but for me, that seems to be the standard: the comic and the 2003 cartoon. And you know what I'll say about this movie? This one I think also came close to striking a good balance. Now, as far as Ninja Turtles, anything, this is actually the first Ninja Turtles anything that I watched. Before I watched the cartoon, this is what got me into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This 1990 movie. They got me the 3-disc DVD box set of all three live action movies, and I used to watch them all the time. Um, yeah, those were my rocks growing up. Um, and as far as the original live action movie, when I was rewatching it, getting ready for this review, I think a lot of it holds up today. Like I enjoy this movie quite a bit. As far as like the other movies we've gotten after this point, this still ends up being one of, if not probably still the best version of the Turtles we've gotten as far as film. Um, but yeah, it's just like I'm really impressed with like the practical like puppets that and like costume work they did for this movie. Like Jim Henson's like company worked on the costumes for the turtles for all three films. I think I think it is for all three films. But like I'm just so impressed with what they're able to do with the animatronics and all that stuff. Like they still look really convincing to this day, and that just goes to show you how great Jim Henson's work was. I wish we got we still got more of it today. Another example of Jim Henson's work that I feel got underappreciated and they got canceled was of course the Dark Crystal show on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. Like the puppetry of that is amazing too. So it's like, I just wish that movies and shows nowadays really utilize that more because they do some really great work. And with this one, I was impressed with that the most. And as I said earlier, like I thought this one struck a good balance between the lighthearted tone of the cartoon and the dark and adult themes of the comic. This was actually a darker movie than I thought, and they were like, "This is a movie that they were appealing to children." And there's some dark stuff that happens in this, which I'm sure like the young kids and maybe parents probably wouldn't have agreed with it at the time, and that's how we got the more lighthearted stuff after that. But like which I mean, I don't know. We'll get to those when we get there. But overall, I still had a good time with this. I thought it was good. But tell us, Bigby, what is your history with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and what is your overall impressions of the original 1990 movie?
Yeah, so my first introduction to the franchise was actually, yeah, like you, this movie. And no, I mean, I have like a positive opinion of most of the like stuff that's come out from Ninja Turtles. I do agree with you that, I like the more balance between like kind of like the cowabunga, like,
Yeah,
kid
what's up,
friendly
dude?
stuff. Yeah, yeah. Like a balance between that and the like darker gritty stuff, with kind of it leaning more toward gritty stuff. And yeah, 2003 series definitely leaned more into that. And this movie was also something that, looking back on it and even rewatching it now, still has that kind of balance, but it is kind of more leaning towards the darker stuff. And yeah, no, I mean, like you mentioned that a lot of that stuff is probably something that parents wouldn't have wanted their kids to see, at the time. Which, yeah, I agree. Though nowadays it was probably like, whatever, that's child's play.
Yep, yep.
And yeah, no, I love a lot of things about this film. I love the story. I love the characters. I love the practical effects. I love the suits that they used. And yeah, no, Jim Henson's Creature Shop did work on all those movies, and they do fantastic work. They're actually the ones that are doing the costume work for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that's coming out too. So yeah, no, they do fantastic work even now, and they definitely. I think without them, this movie probably wouldn't have landed or hit as well as it did. If they would have done, some other company, or if they would have done like, try to do CGI for the turtles, it would not have worked out. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, like I love this movie. It's not my favorite out of the trilogy. We'll get into that later, but
Okay.
yeah, it's one of my favorite. It's top two for the trilogy.
Up to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but I love a lot about this movie, and I love how influential it's actually been for the franchise as a whole. Because you see echoes of it even in like the comics. Like I've started reading a lot of the comics recently, like Last Ronin and everything, and
Ah, nice.
they there's some echoes of the '90s movie in that. So I love a lot about this movie, and what it's done for that franchise.
For sure, for sure. So to talk about just like as we said earlier about the look and the feel of this, like this is probably the most gritty of the original three movies as far as like just the cinematography and just like how lived in New York City is. Like it feels
Absolutely.
grimy. It feels like a little gritty. Like there's a lot of nighttime scenes and it's like the shadows and all that stuff. So it's like you would and it, like you would think that would clash because like while like it does have that type of aesthetic where like we still have the turtles being their playful selves and stuff like that, and you would think that though that wouldn't mix, but like somehow I think it's kind of cool, because like with the other movies, like they the more poppy like type of aesthetic made it seem once again feel a little bit more kiddish, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that is in big part because of some of the criticism of this film. And I agree, they definitely went like in a darker tone. Like they clearly read the original Eastman comics and were like, all right, we want to do that for this. Like, the kids have the '80s cartoon and everything. The adults can have this. So
Yes, yes,
yeah.
I like it. I like, we they can have their cake and eat it too. Um, and on top of that, like I said, like this is not really like a kiddie movie, because like
Yeah.
there's cursing in this. There's minors smoking.
Yeah, there's like tones between, certain tones between Casey and April in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, man, like you can't get away with that half of that stuff today, especially with the minors smoking. They don't want to show that at all
Y-
today.
Definitely. And I kind of feel like in an interesting kind of way, I feel like this was more targeted towards that original audience that watched the '80s cartoon because I mean, granted, a lot of them were probably still kids at the time, but like they'd grown up a little bit since the, cartoon first came out.
Yeah, yeah, you think so. Um, but yeah, as I said, I was digging how adult it is. I'll even admit rewatching it, like it was a bit jarring to see certain things because like keep in mind that this
Mhm.
was marketed to families. I was digging it because like I'm an adult now, so it's like those type of stuff could appeal to me personally. But like if you're introducing kids to this, like who have never seen any of the movies, uh, I'd be kind of reluctant. I probably wouldn't show them until they hit a certain age, maybe like
Yeah.
maybe
I
like
kind of wonder what the test audiences were like for this.
yeah, I wonder how that would have went. But like maybe like I probably wouldn't show them this movie maybe till like they're like 10 to 12 maybe, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm.
I would show
Mhm.
little kids this. I would show.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I was shown this when I was like 5, and I'm sure you were shown this when you were really young too.
Yeah,
So
right.
like, yep, yep. So it's kind of weird how like we were shown it at like that kind of young age, but like nowadays, if we were thinking about it, it's like if I had a kid, I'd probably wait a little longer. I don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but regardless, though, like I don't think while they do have some of that stuff in there, it doesn't go too far where it's like too dark. So
Hmm.
it's like they knew when to pull back on certain things. Um, but anyway, let us get into the characters. Let's start with the turtles themselves. Um, I love all four turtles. I like that,
Same.
and this goes for any of the other versions of the turtles. Like I like that each of them have their distinct personalities. I like their chemistry and banter. Like you could tell they get on each other's nerves sometimes, but at the same time you feel like an actual bond as brothers.
Hmm.
But and like it fluctuates depending which version we watch, but like at least in this version I did feel like I like because like when you see most versions of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I don't know about you, but like there's certain times where I forget that they're teenagers, especially if
Yeah, yeah, especially in the 2003 one. But
oh
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like because they sound like young adults. They look like young adults, so it's like it's weird. This one I still felt the teenage vibe in there. I did still feel it a little bit. More
Hmm.
with I more felt it more with like Donatello and Michelangelo. Like Raphael and Leo's like on the crisp of being teenagers, but not really feeling like teenagers.
Yeah, I think that's partially because Leonardo and Raphael are supposed to be the eldest ones, and then Michelangelo and Donatello are supposed to be the younger brothers, which
Hmm.
it shows. It shows.
It definitely shows, and like I like that too. Just like you see like the different maturity levels of each of them. Um, so we start with the leader himself, Leonardo. Um, I love Leonardo. He of course he for I'm sure a lot of people know who each of the turtles are. Like Leonardo is the de facto leader of the four. Most of the time he's portrayed as the oldest and the wisest of the four turtles. I really like him. Um, I you what I really like about him in this movie and what carries on in other films is that while he is like molding himself to be the leader, you could tell like he's not a perfect character, you know. He has conflicts with like with the other brothers as far as like making sure they do the right thing and make sure they're being responsible, not getting into anything crazy
Hmm.
or whatever. So you feel that big brother complex with Leo, and I really appreciate that. Some people see that as he's probably the most boring of the four because he's like all of he's about doing stuff by the book and stuff like that. But I feel like he levels out the other brothers, as far as they like to get in trouble, they don't always like to play by the rules. He's the one that helps balance out the other brothers, and I really appreciate that, especially when it comes to Raphael. Like the dynamic between Leo and Raph, like probably my favorite aspect of the turtles, because they're just such a yin and yang. Like Raphael's such a rebel, and like Leo's you know is the exact opposite of that. So seeing them clash, but then eventually, coming together, seeing eye to eye on certain things, I think that's very interesting. But I'm sure we'll get to who's your favorite of the turtles. I don't know if I've already spoiled it, but like, what's your overall thoughts on Leonardo?
Yeah, no, I think Leonardo is a fantastic character. Brian Tochi does a fantastic job playing him. Um, and yeah, no, you do get the sense that he's, kind of the eldest brother that had this responsibility thrust upon him. Like, hey, you got to be a good role model for all of them. You got to make sure they stay on the straight and narrow. And he's trying his best. And like, while it's easier to get Michelangelo and Donatello to fall in line, Raphael probably, I imagine being so close to him in age is probably like, man, well, I gotta listen to you.
Right.
Which, yeah, I like the dynamic that they have with them. I like the dynamic that's between like all the turtles really, and with Leo and all the rest of the turtles, but especially with the pairs of like Leo and Raph and Donnie and Mike. And I personally kind of think that kind of on a broader scope, it's kind of like a mark of a good franchise is when you have these great dynamics between these characters and you don't really want to ever see it end. And like this
Yes.
is just one of those franchises where you consistently feel that. And no, Leonardo was fantastic in this movie. All of them were, but Leonardo was as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All of them are great, and it's like, yeah, what carries over with all the other versions of the turtles we see, regardless of like how overall the quality of the other versions are, what always stays consistent is the chemistry and the relationship with all four brothers consistently stays great. Like I don't have any quabbles about the turtles themselves. They always end up being the best part of their of their movies and or shows. Um, so, and what I also like about Leo, his weapons are the katana swords. I love me some katana swords.
Hmm.
Uh, but moving on, we have, of course, Raphael. Love him as well. Pretty much, he's the biggest rebel of the four. Like, he likes to go his own way. He likes to work alone. He sometimes challenges Leo with being the leader, I guess, which I think that's pretty interesting. And it's like he feels like out of all four brothers, he feels like he doesn't get appreciated as much as the other three brothers, and I definitely feel that it's like it's almost like he has a chip on his shoulder.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so I definitely like that. But while he is a hard ass and like he doesn't like to do what he's told a lot of the times, he's not unlikable. He actually is still a sympathetic character. And once again, you still feel that love that he has for his brothers and Splinter as well. So it's like he's not a jerk. He's not like ungrateful or anything like that. So that keeps him from being like that keeps him from being an unlikable character. I like that they knew when to pull back as far as like him being like rebellious and insubordinate and stuff like that. But I also like his tough nature as well. That I think that like helps him stand out with the other turtles. Like he's not afraid to get into a fight. He likes he's the most physical out of all of them. I love his size as well. Even though I barely ever see him slice anybody up with the size that goes along with Leo as well. I don't get to see them slice up anybody, but family friendly. It's whatever.
Right.
But what do you think about Raph?
I like him. So he's not my favorite turtle overall, but like this incarnation of him, as far as like the four turtles in the bunch, I think he might be my favorite out of this particular bunch of them.
Is it
Um,
you're saying like is this your favorite um version of Raph in this movie or
this isn't my favorite version of Raph, but like out of the four turtles that appear in this movie, this is my favorite.
oh okay.
Overall, he's not my favorite turtle, but out of the four versions of him, or out of the four turtles in this movie, he's my favorite.
Oh, so like
Um,
he's the most complex to you in this movie.
yeah, yeah, because you know he kind of has the most development in this movie out of everybody.
Mm,
Everyone else already has their roles and they're already falling into them perfectly. You know, Leonardo's the leader, Donatello's the brains, Michelangelo is, you know, the goofball. Raphael is, you know, he's the muscle, but he's also kind of the glue that holds everybody together. But he doesn't really come into that until later on in the movie,
mhm,
um, where you do feel more of his love for his brothers and everything, and his for his family, despite his whole hot-headed nature. But
mhm.
no, no, I like him. I love his whole back and forth with Leo, and even some of his back and forth with Splinter, and how he seems to have a lot of respect and admiration for Splinter, you know, being his father figure and everything. And I love, I love especially his whole kind of arc and dynamic with Casey in this movie. Just like, you know, I'm sure we'll get into Casey in a second, but he, you know,
Mhm.
I love, I love that character. He's probably out of the four in this trilogy, he's my favorite.
Mhm. I see. I definitely see what you mean. I think I probably agree with you as far as like he does seem like the most complex as far as development. Like they gave the most to Raph, and like I think that's cool. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's not my personal favorite Ninja Turtle either. We'll get to him in a second, but
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, I still think he's great in this. So yeah, moving on to actually let's go to my personal favorite Ninja Turtle, Donatello. The of course
A
the
man
person.
of culture, I see. All right.
Yes, yes, yes. Of course, of course. Yeah, Donatello is my personal favorite Ninja Turtle. Yeah, like, and I feel like he's probably the most underappreciated out of all four turtles as far as popularity. I think he's starting to get more of a following now, but like,
Yes. Yes.
but yeah, Donatello has always been my favorite man. Like I like that he's the nerd of the four. You know,
Yeah.
it's like that just made him him unique on his own as well. It's like yeah, I like it, especially in other versions that like he creates the tech for them, like he creates certain strategies for them. I like how he's more distinguished than the other three. Like, that just I just really like that about him. He, in other ways, like I kind of relate to Donatello because I'm a nerd as well. You're a nerd as well. That's probably why I
Mm-hmm.
relate to Donatello
Mm-hmm.
so much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I just love him, man. Um, the one thing though, in this movie, the one thing that kind of felt a little off to me, this is kind of a nitpick, is the voice they decide to give to Don. Like it's very gray like this. It's like that. I never heard. I don't know if I like that voice for Donatello, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. They kind of gave him the whole like they kind of gave him a bit of a smoker voice, like almost a
Yeah.
Raditz from Dragon Ball Z voice, which like I yeah, no, that wasn't my favorite thing either. He's my favorite turtle overall, and I do find him lovable no matter what incarnation he is.
Hmm.
And you know, of course, his weapon choice is always my favorite, and I love the color
Oh,
purple.
staff.
But
Yeah.
yes, yes, but yeah, no, I agree. The voice choice was interesting. I think it was what was it, Corey Feldman who played him or something like
Yeah, I
that,
think so. Yeah.
which not the best choice. Personally, I think the best voice choice for Donatello is and will always be the 2003 movie. But honestly, I think that or 2003 series. But honestly, I think that series was like peak Ninja Turtles in terms of all their casting. But you know,
Honestly, I think as far as like them like recapturing like that voice from 2003, I think the other turtles like were I think after the 2003 movie, like kept that like that type of tone in his voice. Like they sound very similar to the 2003 cartoon.
Yeah, you can definitely feel that certain incarnations try to emulate that. Certain ones, anyways.
Hmm. Well, until now with Mutant Mayhem, we got a really young voice for Donatello.
Oh man.
Like I got to get used to that. Like I know like when they had the voice actors like do it for that movie that like they were the actual like teenagers at that time. So I like
Mm-hmm.
the authenticity of that.
Mm-hmm.
However, he sounds like he's like 12 or 13.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of looking at it as like, with him being like what looks like the scrawniest and probably like the you know most underdeveloped, I guess, physically out of all the turtles, or well, besides Michelangelo, it makes sense that he'd probably be like the last one to go through puberty.
Mm. Like for a lot of times we thought Michelangelo would be the one, but it's like it seems like now it's be like, oh, okay, Donatello seems to be the youngest, which okay,
Hmm.
that's cool. Um, in this movie, I wish we got more of his like, you know, his more moments of him to be able to show off his like his smarts and stuff like that. I feel like we didn't get that as much in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think the only time, which I'm sure we'll get into it, I think the only time you really get to see him show that he's the brains is the second movie. The third movie, not so much, but the second movie, and then of course movies after that. You get that aspect. But yeah, no, not in this movie.
Yeah, which I mean, it's fine. Like it didn't like it didn't ruin Donatello, but yeah, I just wish he was able
Hmm.
to do more. But yeah, especially with the movies after this, they definitely hone in more to his nerdy side. So much so they had to put glasses on the guy. I'm like, what? Why? Like
Yeah, I don't know why that's a thing with him now. I don't like that.
it was
I
cute.
like it was cool. It was fine once. It was fine once in like the Michael Bay film, but like ditch it, ditch it. He doesn't need to have bad eyesight. Give him contacts then. If it's that much of an issue, give him contacts.
You give him context. So that's the thing. Would they be able to make context for mutant turtles,
I
or
feel
he could
like
just make it himself? I don't
I was
know.
gonna say I feel like out of anybody, Donatello would be the one to figure that out. He'd probably give himself LASIK with how smart he is.
Probably. But yeah, either way, I thought he was great. And then last but not least, we have Michelangelo. Love is some Michelangelo, man. Of course, he's the party dude of the four. He's the most rambunctious. He's the silly one.
Hmm.
And I think he's great. I think he's great.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably is the one that stays the most consistent throughout all these films, actually. All the films, actually, as a whole, in terms of like just character.
Yeah, consistently, like he stays the same, which not necessarily a bad thing. Um,
Hmm.
one of the nitpicks, I guess I would say, with Michelangelo, with all the other versions, that I wish that there were moments where he could mature a little bit more. Not to say that he doesn't have it in this movie too, but it's just like consistently he's just like he's the goof, you know.
I'm just saying, man. If you want that, just read the comics. Read the comics. They're good.
Right. I keep telling you the comics.
Hmm. Hmm.
That,
Hmm.
yeah,
I mean, it's funny too that you mentioned that because with having him be more mature, the canceled sequel for 2007. I'll go into it more when we get to that movie, but the
yeah,
canceled sequel for that movie was going to have him be more mature, but
I heard about that too, but
yeah,
we got robbed. We got
we
robbed.
genuinely did.
But is what it is. I still think Michelangelo was great in this. And what I also like about Michelangelo, while very similar to Raph, while he could have easily been so annoying and like like we don't want like he gets on everybody's nerves and stuff like that. That could be degrading real quick. But I
Hmm.
like that while he does get on the turtle's nerves, he does get on Splinter's nerves, he does be a goofball. It's not so much so where he's not competent.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
when the serious moments happen, he gets down with the business. And it's like even with his annoying moments, it's endearing or it's funny. Like he does have some legit funny moments in here. So
yeah. That's like these films. for any critiques that you might have of the sequels, these films knew comedic timing. They knew how to do that appropriately.
Hmm. Yeah, I love it. One of my favorite moments with Michelangelo is well, even just like the little moments where he's like talking with his other brothers. Like, of course, we know the scene of like when Don and Mike are waiting for pizza under the
Yeah,
sewer,
pizza
and it's
dude's got 30
30
seconds.
seconds. The pizza dude comes up, and then and then he gives him the bite. It's like, "Hey, this is a 10. This
Hmm.
must be a 50. You're 2 minutes late, dude." It's
Hmm.
like,
Yeah, I agree. That was a hilarious moment. I think my favorite was when they're about to head to like April's antique shop to like kick it there with her for a little bit,
hmm
and they're they're all kind of unwilling to really go, or at least go as fast until
hmm
she mentions something about pizza, and he's like, "Let's get going." He just pops up out of the sewer.
and then you hear the sound effect when they get
Yep,
excited, like,
yep, yep.
like,
I wish that Ninja Turtle movie. I hope that this new one isn't afraid to do this, but I wish that Ninja Turtle movies were not afraid to lean into that kind of cartoon aspect of it a little bit more,
hmm
like because I like that. I like using certain cartoon sound effects there to go along with some of their actions when it's supposed to be funny or something.
when it's
It's
supposed to be funny. And
yeah,
like even me that like leans more towards the comics and the like the darker stuff, like when they use that type of stuff appropriately, it can still be funny, as you said. And they did it like
absolutely.
in the perfect times. This movie does have really good comedic timing. And I definitely appreciated that. Um and like also one of my other favorite moments is when Mike does impressions for April O'Neil.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You dirty rat! You
You
killed
killed
my
my
brothers.
man, it's so good. Or when, okay, when they're watching TV, and they're yelling at the TV, being like, "Ninja kick the damn rabbit!"
Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
they're watching the turtle and the rabbit race, I guess I think that was what it was. But like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they were watching like Tortoise in the Hare or something. It was yeah.
yeah, and like, and that was the subtle stuff where it's like they lean more towards the adult stuff because like when Mike just casually just started cursing out of nowhere, I'm just like, oh,
Yeah,
oh, that's
yeah,
what we're doing.
yeah.
Okay.
Picked it up from his brothers or from watching New Yorkers because it's New
Oh,
York.
oh yeah. There's a lot of profanity in New York from what I'm hearing. Um, and then also, yeah, Blue Jay referenced it earlier. The infamous "damn."
If I had a nickel for every time Raph said that in this film, I'd probably have like 3 nickels. But
Oh yeah, that's his word in this movie. Like
hmm
he says "damn" all the time.
hmm
Like Jesus.
it's funny that they kind of just they kept that to this movie, and then like it's probably partially because of criticism for the first movie, but after this, it was just like none of that.
None of that. Yeah, exactly. It just goes back to it. It goes back to yeah, the reception from the parents and the younger kids. They're like, they did not expect for the turtles to just be cursing like that, or yeah, screaming out curse
Hmm.
words too.
Hmm.
And that's like, even
Yeah, they thought they were safe after the 1980s Transformers film. Nope.
no, no, and even then, that was a bit jarring. Um, especially with because that like the Transformers cartoon that was straight up for kids, and like the movie, like really looks like just an extension of that. And then when you just casually hear Transformers or other people cursing, like, whoa, whoa, where'd that come from?
Hmm.
Trying to be more adult out of nowhere. It's like
It's
it's like if you watch you watch Dexter's Laboratory or Powerpuff Girls, they don't curse at all, and then you watch their movie, and then they just say "damn" out of nowhere, like, oh,
yeah, I mean it's one of those things where like it feels like everyone forgot that Ninja Turtles used to be an adult targeted comic at one point.
yeah,
And that was like them cursing or whatever was like commonplace. So, when they see this film that's kind of like more pulling from comics in terms of like how these characters act and everything, it's like, oh.
yeah, exactly, yeah. As someone who read the comics, I was like, I'm digging this, I'm digging this,
Hmm.
but like, even I will understand like for the casual moviegoer, there are people that grew up with the cartoon and didn't know anything about about the comics, I could see like certain moments being kind of jarring. Like even me rewatching it, even though I knew we knew what was coming, but like just how it was like structured in the movie, like just especially the abrasive damn or them
Mm-hmm.
just casually cursing at the TV. Like even I'll admit that that's the couple moments that feel a bit jarring, a
Mm-hmm.
bit jarring. Um, but you know, it is what it is. Oh, we have not talked about we have not talked about Master Splinter yet. Why have we not talked about Splinter? I thought, man, what there's nothing bad you can say about Splinter, man. Like
Oh yeah,
Splinter's awesome, man. Loved him
yeah.
in.
He felt like an Uncle Iroh type of character, like just this kind, wise grandpa, that everyone wants to be around.
Yes.
And the second you see him getting hurt, like when Shredder like backhands him, you want to like leap through that TV, like, man, you
Ooh,
get your hands off him.
ooh! I felt some type of way when that happened. It's just like he did not deserve that. Come on.
Right, 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 right.
But yeah, like you said, he is just the lovable father figure, the mentor, the guru, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think there are only, in my opinion, there are only like two incarnations in these movies that feel that way, and I appreciate that they did that.
okay, I'm interested to see you to hear you elaborate on that
Mm-hmm.
when we get to it. Yeah, because to me, like, hmm, there's probably like there's probably like one or two other versions that I guess kind of didn't have as much as of the father figure guru stuff that we got in the earlier films maybe, but like for the most part like they all feel consistent at least with
Yeah,
Splinter.
yeah. I mean, they all still feel like the father figure types, though. I think there are only two of them that fall into like that full on what I will call Uncle Iroh type, where like they feel like a completely compassionate, just kind, like, oh yeah, like you boys can do no wrong, like like kind of deal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as far as like older mentor figures like the three pillars I would say we talked about earlier, Uncle Iroh,
Mm-hmm.
Master Yoda, and then Master Splitter.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the trifecta right there. And but yeah, I just really enjoyed them. Um, so I think like and the puppetry for for him as well looks really good, really
Oh, it
good.
does. It absolutely does. Like I sit there on my rewatch and I'm like sitting there looking for strings. I'm like, what? What is?
Yeah, there's no strings on here. Like he looks
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a real walking talking rat. Like
yeah.
and like what I even like about like especially with this version, um, is that they kept like the griminess of the rat. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't look too clean. You know, he does look like a street rat. Yet that turned
Mm-hmm.
into a mutant. So I definitely appreciated that as well.
Yeah, and I think that can be said about all of our sewer dwelling characters. Anyways, I like that they
Oh yeah,
they they kept into that. Like none of them look clean. They don't look clean, and that makes sense because they live in a sewer. They live in New York sewers specifically. Yeah, of course they're not clean. They look like they smell.
exactly. Which I feel like that was kind of that's one of my criticisms as we get into the other two films of things starting to look cleaner and cleaner. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I like that grimy New York aesthetic. You know, if they live in sewers, they should look like they live in sewers. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have hot showers running.
Right, right, right. Like I'm not saying that I need them to be walking around covered in doo doo or something. Like
Oh no
just
not
yeah,
like
just
that. But
right,
just
just a little bit of grime, a little bit of dirt.
a little bit grime, just a little bit goes a
Mm-hmm.
long way. Moving on, let us talk about April O'Neil. April O'Neil. Woo is right.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna say up front, this is my favorite version of April O'Neil in live action. I would say I'll put that there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. I think she's probably my second favorite in terms of the movies and probably my third favorite in terms of April O'Neil incarnations in general. Like actress did an amazing job
hmm
and Still looks just as fine as she did in this movie, but
Oh, oh my God! If you see her today, she does not age. She looks.
no,
She looks.
I need to know what they're feeding these people. They don't age.
I know they're drinking unicorn blood. I swear, I swear. But like, yeah, she is gorgeous, still
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Judith
Hoag? I,
Hoag.
I think.
Yeah, I think so. I remember her also from Halloween Town. The mother being the mother. So, did I see Halloween Town before this, or did I see Ninja Turtles before this? I'm not sure, but that was the only other thing that I saw her in, and I thought she was
Mm-hmm.
great in Halloween Town as well.
She did, or at least I have to rewatch the movie so I can verify. But apparently, she made a cameo in the first Michael Bay one.
Yes, she did. She
Yeah.
did. Um,
So,
or now I'm second guessing because was it the first one or the second one?
or it might have been Out of the Shadows. It might
I
have been Out of the Shadows.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been Out of the Shadows, but yeah, I do remember her making a cameo in one of the movies, which I thought was cool. That was really
Mm-hmm.
cool that they were able to get her back for that. Um, but yeah, I thought she was great. Um, but yeah, I feel like why she's still my favorite of as far as live action. I probably my favorite April O'Neil in general is the one from the 2003 cartoon. Um, but like why she's my favorite live action one, I as far it's just her personality. She seems to have like the most like personality as far as the other live action versions, and aesthetically she seems to be the closest to the cartoon and the comics. She's not a full on redhead, but like she feels
Mm-hmm.
like the most redheadish of the other actresses, I would say.
Yeah, she feels like kind of a nice, like perfect marriage between the comic and the cartoon.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's one of the other reasons why I like that balance. I love that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
I
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, yeah, yeah. I feel. I also noticed, like looking back on like little fun facts and behind the scenes stuff of the movie. I like that for one scene because she only agreed to do it for one scene. They
Mhm.
had her in the yellow trench coat.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. Like, yeah, they do have her in the yellow trench coat for one scene, and I'm like, I mean, this is just fan service. Like, it doesn't really like
Hmm.
affect the movie, but like, what is up with not only her but the other actresses just refuse to wear a yellow jumpsuit, just like not wear it at all.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the specific reason for it. I just know that she really did not want to wear that. So they were like, "Look, look, 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 look. We'll put you in a yellow jacket for one scene. Will that work?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure, sure. That's fine."
Yeah, just like I'm sure there's gonna be some people that will debate like, oh, yellow jumpsuit will look so corny, it doesn't translate to live action. Have you seen the fashion today?
Right. Also, never say that something would never work because Michael Bay said the same thing about Transformers, and now look.
Yep.
So,
Look, Travis Knight and Stephen Caple Jr. was like, you're wrong. So
mhm, mhm, you're
and
wrong,
it's
and this is why.
yeah, you're exactly. So it's like I don't think putting her in a yellow jumpsuit would be so distracting because especially if you see fashion today, like over the past decade, there are women that wear like jumpsuits with like bright colors. So it's like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think that would have been, bad. Like even if it was just like one scene, one or two scenes, she don't have to wear it for the whole movie. Like I think even that would be a little too much, but like just for a couple of scenes, maybe.
yeah. Also for Mutant Mayhem, even they're putting her in the yellow jacket, so it can work. It can work.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and then Megan Fox had a yellow jacket too, which she
Hmm.
wore often, which was okay. That was cool, close enough, I guess. Well,
Yeah,
close
close
to
enough.
her. But yeah. Either way, I like how she interacts with the turtles. Like the chemistry that she has with the other turtles is really good. Um, I just wish that she was able to continue with the other sequels so we could see that bond grow a little bit stronger. This is a nice like introduction, obviously, but like I think if she was able to stay with with the other two movies, like I think like her chemistry would have been much better in the other sequels. Give her more time to actually interact with the
Mhm.
turtles.
Well, wasn't she? She was in part 2, wasn't she?
Nope, they got a different actress.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I need to. All right, yeah. After this, I need to rewatch it again because
Hmm
that's nuts, actually.
That's one of the things that upset me with 2 and 3. It's like you didn't get Judith back. Why? Why did you not get Judith back? But you got Casey Jones to come back in the third movie, the same actor.
Right.
But yeah, that really upset me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
right.
I'm looking at. Oh my god! I never even realized.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. I'm like, I mean, not to say that the other actress is bad. I
No,
think,
no, no. She wasn't.
yeah, she was a good April O'Neil, but I just felt like Judith was still a little bit better. Now to be fair though, and I'll expand on this more when we get to the second movie. And I don't know if you see this like I did, but I would say like as far as aesthetics, Judith leaned more towards the April in the '80s cartoon, and then the actress they got for 2 and 3 looks more like the April from the 2003 one.
I'll agree on that one. Yeah. Yeah. No. Especially, I think it's also mainly how they had their hair. Like
Yeah,
like like Judith in the first one had like the hair felt a little. I don't know how to describe it, but it felt more like, yeah, like the '80s cartoon. Whereas,
hmm
yeah, I'm guessing that 2003 definitely took some inspiration from the sequels onward. But
oh yeah, for sure. I'm gonna look up the unless you have it already. I'm gonna look up the other actress's name.
yeah, shoot, I just had it up.
Paige
Yeah,
Turco. Yeah,
yep.
yeah. So I did like Paige Turco as April as well. So don't get me wrong. We'll talk about her more in the sequels. But yeah, I just like Judith set a standard for sure. Um,
Hmm.
but now let's move on to Casey Jones. Casey Jones, baby, man, the best Casey Jones. The best Casey.
Genuinely, like the only one who I think comes close in terms of movies. 2003, I still think is peak, but in terms of movies, I think the only one that comes close is the 2007 movie.
Yeah, yeah. I wish he had. I wish the 2007 one he had more to do in that. But I agree with you. Same thing
Hmm.
with April in that film as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely enjoyed them too. Um, sorry, Stephen Lang. Or is that the actor's name in the Michael Bay ones or Stephen?
I don't even remember his
You know,
name, to be honest.
Arrow. You know, I know his name's
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Um, I mean, he was all right, but
Yeah, we'll get into that when we get there. But like, I'm sorry, yeah, Casey Jones in this movie, man, like perfect, just absolutely perfect. Literally, like, I it felt like he got plopped right from the cartoon, and the comics. I like his mask, his
yeah,
skull mask.
yeah,
I'm disappointed that they got rid of it after that, but
yeah. Though I kind of feel like, because the '80s cartoon and the comic were different characterizations as a whole. I feel like what I really like about this version of Casey Jones, he set the standard, he set the bar for every Casey Jones to come afterwards.
absolutely, yep. But yeah, I thought he was great. What I really liked about him in this movie is the banter that he has with Raphael. It's awesome. It's great.
Hmm.
Their first fight in the park, which watching it now, there are some silly points like when Casey pulls out a cricket thing
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
and
like, you
like
play cricket?
cricket. Nobody understands cricket. You
You
gotta
gotta
know
know
what
what
a
a crumpet is to understand cricket.
cricket. And then Casey like just freaking golf swings at him, and then
Yeah,
Raph is just flying. Just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I don't know if that would actually happen like that, but like,
Oh, yeah, no, they definitely took a little bit of like cartoon stuff there, like having him land head first in the trash can and all that. Yeah, that.
that was that was a funny scene. I like that. Um, and then yeah, the will they won't they that he has with April O'Neil. Like we all know that if you know the character, like they do have relationships in different versions.
Hmm.
Um, it is the typical like I like you're annoying at first. Oh my god, will they won't they type stuff. But like
Yeah, it was a little rom-com in this movie.
a little bit, but it still ended up being endearing enough.
Hmm.
I thought that they were cute. Um, with all these versions with the when they do their romance, they always are like teasing us. They don't fully go into it. Like I think the only version that kind of went into it was the 2003 cartoon, but even then
Yeah,
they don't like commit to it the entire time. So I'm just
yeah,
like I don't know. I just make them just have them together. I think the TMNT the 2007
yeah.
movie.
2007, they were engaged. So,
Yes. So I
yeah,
was like, yes, I like that. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, wonder what they'll do with the Mutant Mayhem.
I don't know. Is Casey in that movie?
They didn't show Casey,
Okay, I don't
and I
know.
don't think I don't think that he's in the cast list either. So
Mm,
they might save him for sequels. But
yeah, or like a cameo or post-credit scene or something.
maybe I'm interested to see what they'll do with him in Mutant Mayhem. But yeah, I thought Casey was cool. Like I said, I do like his artillery. He has baseball bats, he has hockey sticks, he has all of that.
Hmm.
So I like he comes equipped. Um, but yeah, he's great. All right, so let us talk about the main villain of this movie. We talk about the Shredder, man.
It's weird. Like, she's clearly evil. He's clearly
Clearly
evil.
evil.
But
Yes.
they did such a good job with him and his dialogue, and the actor does a fantastic job with how he delivers everything to a point where every time I watch this movie, for a second, I'm sitting there and he's like appealing to like the inner teenager in me, and I'm like, man, I kind of want to follow this dude.
Yeah, a
Like,
little bit.
yeah,
It's like giving that speech to the kids at that
yeah. Yeah, he's
that
talking
layer.
like, this is your new family, like we look out for each other and everything. I'm like, man,
It's like
okay.
ooh, like
I can vibe with this. And even in like the second movie, there's like some moments where I'm sitting there like I'm kind of on his side. Like, but
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Like I really like that. Well, yeah, it is clear that he's evil. He does have that kind of a diplomatic side, or he knows how
hmm
to come to a room and like you
hmm
kind of see his influence being like, you know, I kind of I kind of see where
yeah,
you're
yeah,
coming from here.
like they
Yeah.
they definitely took like the 2003 series definitely took this Shredder and was like, all right, well, let's run with that. Like,
Mhm.
because they both have that same kind of diplomatic side to them, where like, they're commanding, but like you almost feel, I guess the best term is safe when when they're talking or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely liked him in this movie, and but at the same time, make no mistake, he is a scary motherfucker in this.
Absolutely.
Like his first scene with the music and like he just walking into the room and everybody's watching him. He just stands there in the middle of the room,
Yeah,
like
with that cape too.
with that cape, and you just see on his shoulders the spikes and everything. And he just does that slow turn to
Yeah,
the left. I'm just
yeah.
like, ooh,
That specific Shredder haunted my nightmares for years, and those drums for his theme will
boom, boom, boom.
forever live rent free in my head.
Oh my,
Forever.
oh my God, yeah, the score for him was like very
Yeah.
well done,
Boom. Like, just, yeah.
man. Yeah, like, and yeah, like at first, I was kind of his overall uniform did kind of like was kind of off-putting at first because like he does have the sharp shoulder plates and
Mm-hmm.
like he has the shiny sharp parts on his helmet and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What was kind of off to me at first is like the texture of his his pajamas. Let's just say
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it
yeah,
looked like
yeah.
pajamas.
Yeah, he rolls out of bed every morning looking like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the the opening parts on his mouthpiece, like I guess for him to breathe, I guess. That was kind of off-putting at first because like I'm used to seeing Shredder with the full silver like mouth part, so it was kind of off
Yeah.
like the gated like the kind of mouth gate opening things in there. Like
Yeah, yeah, like graded kind of. Yeah, and I mean,
yeah,
like, I'll agree. Like, the costume was a little bit off-putting at first because, like, the helmet does feel a little bit too big for his head, and
mhm.
like, when he takes off that like mouthpiece, it is a little like it's a little jarring seeing that such a big helmet there, but the second like that all goes away, the second that you see him literally glide down in that final fight.
Oh my god, he just drops
Yeah,
nowhere. Um,
that single drop is so like such an iconic thing that they've referenced it in other forms of Ninja Turtles, especially in the Batman versus Ninja Turtles movie. They
mhm.
hardcore leaned into that, and like you also just are completely terrified of him the second you start seeing him fight, like when he takes on the turtles.
Oh my god, that was
Like
such a cool scene. That was
yeah.
so cool. He meant business, bruh. I love
There was he wasted no time. Had Leonardo on the ground, he dies. Weapons now.
it. Or like when they first try to fight him, they go one at a time, and each of them
hmm
get their ass kicked one at a time. It's
And
just
he
like,
doesn't even look like he's trying.
no, he's not breaking a sweat. I'm just like,
And
eh,
like though, like you even feel that when like he's interrogating Splinter, like when he like every time I watch that movie, it almost feels like he's going to go through and like slash Splinter with like his little like
yeah, his
blades on the back of his fist, but like it's such an intimidating presence in the film.
so cool, so cool. And even like the Foot Clan, like have a good has a really good presence in this.
hmm
Like,
hmm
of course, we remember the scene where the Foot Clan ambush April's house and the turtles are fighting, and it's like
hmm
at first you think that it seems like the turtles got the upper hand, but then they slowly start to get like outnumbered and stuff like that. So I really like that. Like they're not
You,
pushovers in this.
oh yeah, they're not. You also see that they're not afraid to go after anybody, like in the subway scene with April, where they're like, "Oh, our master has a message. Shut it."
Oh my god, when he slapped her, I was just like, man. And then April tries to fight him and like fails
Yeah,
miserably,
no, it just
gets
gets
knocked out.
worked, absolutely worked, and like, uh, speaking of the Foot Clan, his like second in command, Tatsu,
Yeah,
like even he had a little bit of a presence, though. You do kind of laugh at him from time to time, but he also has a presence.
yeah, absolutely. Like he still is intimidating, and he still has his badass moments. But like yeah, he does have his silly moments as well. Um, I don't remember if is he an original character or was this a
I'm
character from the
He's an original character from what I can tell.
okay.
And they kind of once again 2003 pulling like influences from this movie, having Hun as a character who's kind of a stand-in for Tatsu, really. So,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
hmm
But yeah, I'm surprised they didn't try to like incorporate him like fully into other versions because I thought he was pretty good.
yeah, yeah, he would have been a cool character to have in other things. I'm surprised that we haven't seen, as far as I know, a single Tatsu since the movie here, or since
Yeah,
these movies.
since these movies, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I thought he was pretty cool. Okay, we got Matt in the chat. Wise man says forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza, man. Yeah.
That's a
Uh,
quote that will forever live with me. By the
forever.
way, that's
Um,
yeah.
yeah. You got the George. I mean, like, hey everyone, stopping by for a little bit. The first movie is a classic. I rewatched it on Tubi the other night and still love it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Moving on. Oh, I think that's all the characters. All like the main
It's all the
characters.
major ones, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to include that one kid that
Oh,
April.
Daniel?
Yeah,
Danny? Yeah,
Dan.
Danny, yeah.
Yeah. Um, which he's fine, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's kind of given. I think he was probably more meant to be a character that like all the teenagers in the theater can relate to. Like, oh, you're a little rebellious. You might want to run away. You
Yeah, yeah, that type of stuff.
yeah, a lot of movies back then seemed to kind of have that similar theme. So
Hmm. Hmm. Um, so though, what I want to know though is like, apparently the Shredder wants these kids to steal TVs and appliances. I
it's
For what reason?
it's not too clear. It's not too clear what his like big objective is. Like he's just having them steal like TVs and cigars and milk. Like I don't know if he's
Yeah,
like planning to sell them all or if he's gonna take over New York somehow. It's just
maybe
he's a thug. He's a kingpin. That's all he really is in this movie.
okay. Which I guess it's fine, but like, has the Shredder really needed like, even like if they have him rob banks, does he really need that type of stuff though?
Not really. I mean, it, most versions of Shredder have that kind of kingpin aspect where they're running like some sort of crime circuit or whatever. But it's I don't know, like they leaned into that a little too much for these movies. But I don't know. Maybe there's
I don't know. I don't know. Okay, friendly neighborhood meta says you'll try to join soonish. Wait for me. Well, hurry up, man. We already went through a lot of the characters. But yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, just get here when you can, man. Um, but yeah, what I also liked was the during we're at like the halfway point where they got their after they got their asses kicked by the Foot Clan and Casey comes in and helps them. They have to go back and regroup at this farm or whatever. Um, I I really like the downtime that we're able to get with the turtles. Like while there is plenty of action in this movie, I like that this film actually took time to to regroup, to see more bonding with the turtles.
hmm
And then just seeing how the brothers are, just reacting to like, Splinter being gone and like them being worried about him. There was that one specific scene when they're all four of them and are by a campfire, and then the the fire turns blue and
yeah.
you see
Ghost Splinter.
Ghost Splinter. That was interesting. It was a beautiful scene though, with Splinter sending that message to the brothers, and then Michelangelo, you see him actually crying. Like that was a
Yeah.
beautiful moment, absolutely beautiful moment. It was off-putting that like the fire just turned blue and the Splinter just started talking in the fire. I'm like, is that a metaphorical thing or is that actually happening? Like,
Yeah, and I did like that section of the film as well. I especially liked that it was narrated by April.
hmm oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, I like that.
yeah, yeah. It was a little annoying how they had like Danny be like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this drawing and go back to the Foot Clan area or whatever."
Hmm. Yeah,
But,
yeah, definitely like that. You see a little bit more bonding with well, I say bonding, but like they're starting to like be okay with each other between April and Casey. Like they're not
hmm
like yelling at each other, whatever. They do start off like, oh my god, you're annoying, blah blah. But as the movie goes on, like they start to be more comfortable with each other, and so it's like that's fine. And then oh yeah, Raph is like unconscious for a good amount of it because he got his ass kicked by the Foot Clan. But
Yeah.
what I really liked, another beautiful scene was when Raph wakes up in the bathtub, and then Leo like is there right beside him, waiting for him to wake up. Um, and then when Leo is trying to apologize to Raph, and he's just like, "Leo, don't." And then they
hmm
hug, and I'm like, "Oh man, that's
hmm
such a nice moment."
it was a nice moment, and I love that they had that comedic break with I think it was Donatello who broke that tension by saying like it's a
It's a
Kodak
code.
moment.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, of course, I'm sure people would want us to bring up something that I think was like a costume mistake, editing mistake. Um, I'm sure people have talked about it so many times about when Donatello laughs in that scene. You can see the guy.
Yeah,
You see the mouth inside the mouth. I'm like, oh,
yeah. The Ninja Turtles were xenomorphs the entire time. There's a
yeah.
reason why Michael Bay wanted to make them aliens.
Man, that would have been horrible. So glad I didn't do that. But yeah, so that's probably the one thing with the Jim Henson stuff that was like, oh man, they didn't look at that and post and was like, oh man, we
Yeah,
need to do another shot. We
it's
do
it's it's a drawback of having the practical effect costumes. It's a drawback, but it's it's fine. It's fine for the sake of having them actually there in that space.
Yeah. Honestly, that's probably like the only like really noticeable thing about their puppetry and animatronics.
Yeah, which kind of makes me wonder now because Jim Henson Creature Shop is working on the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I'm sitting here wondering, like, yeah, we're gonna see that at all, that kind of error at all with the animatronics.
I hope not. Like with the technology being updated as much as they are now, like
Yeah.
they would have to like look back at the footage and be like, "Oh, that doesn't look as great. Let's go back and do it." At least I hope that they do that. I hope they do.
If they don't, maybe they'll do a creepy spin on it or something.
Well, they could be like, if they show the mouth in there, that could be like a horror thing, like a scary
Yeah.
image, whatever. But but I don't know. But like after Dark Crystal, like come on, there can't be no excuses, man. Wait,
Hmm.
how much of a budget? What's the budget of Five Nights at Freddy's though?
Um, it's being made by Bloomhouse, I think. So I
Oh,
don't
so
think it
you
has.
know it's not going to be expensive.
Yeah, budget for that is 36 million.
Oh God, yep, that is some chump change. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'll do the most with that budget though. Blumhouse always tends to do really well as far as managing budgets.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a bunch of other studios can learn a lot of things from Blumhouse as far as managing how much money they use on a movie. Goodness gracious. Spending over 100 million on the Mummy when you could have just done something like the Invisible Man that was done for like $10 million. Like, come on, man,
Hmm.
come on. Okay, so I'm trying to stretch this out, meta, as long as I can. I'm trying to figure out what else to talk about. Because this is a very straightforward story, which is what I also appreciate. It's very simple. Which
Hmm.
most of the Ninja Turtles incarnations keep it simple with the story. I think the only like show that really like tried to do like a bunch of twists and turns is the 2003 show. Like they do a lot of crazy stuff in that one, but for the most part, we're still able to follow what's going on there. But yeah, I like in this one, like it's very straightforward. The story of the turtles are very straightforward as it is, so it's like I don't expect it to do anything super complex.
Yeah, it's a very grounded story, which I would say that the second one kind of is too, but like of course, it's a sequelitis thing. Eventually you're gonna have to break that new ground or something. But I like that this one is definitely a lot more grounded and yeah, straightforward. So.
Hmm Talking a little bit about when Splinter explains their origins to April O'Neil, which I thought that was a nice sequence as well.
Hmm.
Um, but to address some nitpicks in there. So I know this is from the comics as well and the cartoon, so it's like but like the one thing that did slightly bother me because this is before he gets the ooze, before they all get the ooze, they start with, the whole thing with Master Yoshi, and he mimics movements from his cage.
Yeah, it's one of those like you need to suspend your disbelief things. I get that though. That is a little weird. I feel like that would, in most scenarios, that would be something where immediately the government's busting down your door trying to dissect that rat and figure out what's going on.
Exactly. Like, wouldn't Master Yoshi be like, will it freak out if he saw a rat like mimicking his body?
Yeah. I feel like if I had a pet rat and I was practicing like guitar and I see the rat like pull out a little guitar, I'd be like, what the?
It's like, what the heck? But but yeah, even like the the puppetry they did for like tiny Splinter and like and the baby turtles for the most part looked really good.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. It's a little choppy, but like it's fine.
it's
It's
fine.
fine.
You know, it's 1990. You can't expect
Yeah, yeah,
perfection
yeah.
everywhere.
Like you can tell it's a puppet, but like it's a pretty good puppet.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. Um, but okay, so one other nitpick that I have, like as far as like the design of the turtles when they're adults, and which seem to carry on with other incarnations as well. Um, do you notice that the turtles look like frogs when they're grown up?
Yeah. That is something that they poke fun at in certain incarnations where like some, goon will see them and they'll be like, "What is that? A mutant frog or something?" Like it so
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
because I see like especially in that flashback when you see them like as babies and they're like slowly growing up, like they still have the turtle beak, but
Yeah.
as they get older, like the beak slowly starts to disappear, and I'm like,
Yeah, I think for them to look a little more, I guess, a little more friendly for like the kids in the audience. Because like if they would have gone with like the full on like Eastman designs, yeah, okay, they probably would have looked closer to like how the baby turtles looked as like teenagers, which okay. But I think in order to like more appeal to like the family friendly aspect of things, they had to make them, they had to make those beaks disappear. They had to make them fill out a little bit more, make the faces a little more friendly.
yeah, I get it, I get it. This is just me wanting. You can lean more towards the black and white. You can do
I
it.
mean, I'm just. I mean, I'll say it. I'm all for a black and white like Eastman style movie. I'm all for that. If they ever
Oh,
want to do that one day, I'm all for that. But
oh, absolutely. I'll even take. You know what? If we can't even get the black and white, I could get because like I get like it'll be kind of difficult to differentiate the turtles because they all wear like it's black and white and it's like they all like are dark. Like even I'll take them doing the red mask as well.
mm-hmm,
Like I'll even
mm-hmm.
take that.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, that'd be fun.
like I don't know if we'll ever get it. Like maybe not in our lifetime, but like
Well, we're getting a video game based off of that's going to be mature rated based off of the comics. So we'll at least get a game.
video game I will take.
hmm
Um, what I also hope will happen is like maybe like the original comics maybe become public domain and maybe they
Oh,
could
someone else tackles it.
someone else tackles it somewhere somehow. I don't
Yeah, I mean, I guess that all depends because I guess it depends on who owns the rights to the turtles. Because right now, I think that is Paramount that owns the
It
rights,
is
right?
Paramount. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and they seem to have a little bit of a death grip on that. So I mean, that might be a while.
Yeah, that's true. Though I am wondering, like, do they own every version of the turtles, or just like the modern ones?
That is a question. Like, I think they own everything going back to the 2003 series. Um, which would lead me to believe that maybe they own those and they just don't have them on their streaming service. Because I mean, like even like with Transformers, I think their hold on it kind of goes all the way back to G1. But
Mm, yeah,
you know,
especially with them, but we're possibly getting a Hasbro um, crossover. So I'm sure they
yes,
do
right.
some stuff with the Hasbro stuff as well. But yeah, that's just me wishful thinking,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Mm-hmm.
fine. And like even with Mutant Mayhem, like even though they are still like leaning towards the Cowabunga stuff, like aesthetically it feels more like the cartoon. Like it has a darker gritty aesthetic. So I,
Yeah, and I mean it's shown at least in a comedic sense they're not afraid for the weapons to actually be used.
Oh yeah, when the Psy like stabs
Yeah, yeah. At
John in
least in
the
a
leg.
comedic sense.
Yeah, yeah. So I at least glad they're not afraid to do that. What? What did I say? What did I say? Oh, about the that I want a movie that's like the comics. Yes, yes, that's what I want. I know I
I,
won't
I
get it,
f-
but
I feel like we could get that if there's enough of an outcry for it, which I know that there is an audience that demands it. I feel like if there's enough of an outcry, yeah, eventually we will get that gritty. Like maybe one day when Paramount lets go of Ninja Turtles and maybe like I don't know Warner Bros picks it up or something like that
well,
or
they had it at one time with the
yeah.
2007 movie.
Yeah, or like if Amazon picks it up, like if Amazon picks it up, good lord, yeah, we're getting that. But
Yeah. Well, so that means we have to bet on Mutant Mayhem bombing and nobody watching the shows and
yeah, I mean the shows maybe because I know Rise of the TMNT didn't do that well. It's a good show, but I know it didn't do that well.
right and you know a lot of people don't like the Michael Bay movies.
Hmm.
So people are apprehensive about seeing Mutant Mayhem, but even me like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
I'll admit there's some parts of it I'm having to look past. It's mainly Baxter Stockman's design. It's mainly Baxter Stockman's design.
Oh,
That's
did they
mainly
show
it.
his design?
They showed his design. He looks disgusting. He
Okay.
looks. I look forward to hearing Giancarlo Esposito's voice coming out of that man.
Okay, well, I guess they're preparing him to eventually become the Fly as
Yeah,
well.
right.
Even though they have a super Fly in this, played by Ice Cube. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. I wonder how they're going to tackle that if he is going to turn to a Fly later, or are they going to try and do the other grotesque stuff that they were attempting to do in the 2003 movie? I
Oh,
mean,
were they like,
2003
oh, good.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, good lord, that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was another thing. Like with the show, like when they were trying to do more like the body horror stuff from Stockman, like once again the parents and children were like upset about that. So
Hmm.
they're like, okay, yeah, we gonna reel that back in.
Oh yeah. They straight up pulled that episode from most collections. They were like, yeah, nope, you don't, nope.
And I was like, don't be cowards, show it,
Hmm. Hmm.
show it.
You weren't afraid to dismember him every time he failed. Come on.
Exactly. You might as well just continue, just finish it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but yeah, so it's whatever. Um, you're taking your sweet ass time, Meta. I'm drawing it out as long as I can. Yeah, I said because we talked about the final fight with Shredder and the Turtles. That was cool. Oh, the moment where Master Splinter comes up and like he doesn't even get to a fight with Shredder. Like he reveals that no, he's the rat that was owned by Yoshi or whatever.
Hmm.
And then yeah, then Shredder takes his mouth plate off, whatever, and like and you see the scar that Splitter
Oh
gave.
yeah, nasty scratch.
Nasty, man. And then oh yeah, Shredder sliced his ear off. So an eye for an eye. And it's like, now I will finish what I began with your ear. And then he lunges at him. And then like Splinter's just like, okay, yeah, here he comes, here he comes.
Hmm.
And then he pulls out the nunchuck that Mike had that I think yeah he
Yeah, he lost it. Or no, he threw it. He
he
threw it
threw
and
oh
then
yeah
ended
he
up
threw it
on
because he's
yeah.
like weapons. Everybody throw their weapons and the
Yeah.
nunchuck things. So and then yeah, so Splinter takes the nunchuck and then flips him over and has him hanging off the building. Which like badass move. Like
Yeah. He was like like you live without honor, but and when you die, it will be, and then he just without
yeah,
honor.
yep. He like Shredder tries to throw a knife at him. He catches it and then Shredder just drops into the garbage truck and then Casey turns on the garbage truck and crushes him.
Yeah. Whoops.
Oops.
Yeah.
Like, dang, he just got smushed. Okay, yeah, that's for kids.
Mhm. Mhm.
Which really shocked me. How he survived in the second movie, but we'll get into that when we get there. Cause like he got crushed. He got crushed.
Yeah, man, got straight up trash compacted. Like, you
His
don't just walk
insides should
away
be
from
out.
that.
Yeah, like all his insides should be
That should be a
like
rude awakening for the garbage man the following day. That's
like oh god, yeah, Jesus Christ. But yeah, so um okay, I think you already answered this earlier, but as far as okay, so you said that this is not your favorite of the main trilogy or the movies overall. Okay. Um so what keeps this from being your favorite? Because in my opinion, this is my favorite of the three movies.
funny enough. I think it comes down to how young I watched it and how many times I watched it. I ended up immediately after this one watching the second movie, which is my favorite out of the trilogy. And
Okay.
I think it was because of how many times I watched it, and because I was like 5, 6. Is how much that appealed to like my sense of humor as like a 5 and 6 year old. That ended up, it still ends up having a soft spot in my heart as like my favorite one in the trilogy.
Fair enough. I know with the second one, that's the one I hear people talk about the most.
Hmm.
Um, for me, why this is my favorite of these original three movies, it's probably may end up being one of my favorite all the films overall. Is that I once again going back to I like that it had the balance between the adult stuff and the family friendly stuff, and personally leaning more towards the adult stuff. I kind of like that. And as far as like the story, I found it the most compelling in this movie because I feel like with the other movies they were very surface level. I didn't feel like there was as many like emotional moments as we got in this movie. Like as we said when the brothers are reacting to Splinter's message in the fire, or seeing Raph and Leo hug, and just seeing that type of bond. Like I don't feel like we got that as much in the other two movies.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, yeah, I do agree on that. We don't really feel that as much in the next couple films in this trilogy, anyways. Yeah.
And then like there are certain inconsistencies that come up in the other two movies that I'm like, wait, but this happened in this movie. What? How did this happen in here? Which we'll talk about then when we get there. But yeah, I think this for me like what this movie still manages to get that even like the movies after this, even after the main trilogy, even with the Michael Bay films, the 2007 movie, I'm hoping the Mutant Mayhem, like we get more, we get back to this again. But like what I really liked that with this movie is once again just the bond and the chemistry with all four brothers. I feel like is at its peak in this movie.
Yes, yes, and based on the first trailer that they've shown us, I feel like yeah, we are gonna get that in Mutant Mayhem.
Mhm.
But no, I agree. This was probably in terms of the movies, this was probably the best in terms of having that kind of chemistry. 2007 has a close second, but
Close. It's
yeah, very close second. But yeah,
and even like the Shredder, like I think I will have to rewatch Secret of the Ooze again. But like I think this is probably my favorite version of the Shredder in the movies. As
I
far as like his
yeah.
yeah, as far as how he's utilized, I think this is it's the best handled in this movie.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Like out of all the movies, this is the best version of the Shredder in this particular movie. And like I can remember most of the second film. Like I got to go back and rewatch it too. But yeah, no, I think he was better utilized in this. as well.
Hmm. And of course, we talked about April O'Neil. My favorite April O'Neil. Casey
Yeah.
Casey Jones was great. But yeah, I just think like all those elements just hit really good in this movie. That like with the other films, like there's certain stuff here and there that kind of lacks. But like this one, I think was able to get most of it right. Even though
Hmm.
like there is some weird stuff here and there, like with some of the with some of the cursing and like the kids smoking and like there's some weird editing here and there, but like even then those are like kind of nitpicks for me.
Hmm.
um but yeah, I guess if there isn't anything else to bring up, I think it is now time to get into our final thoughts and grades. Overall, I thought this movie was a good time. I'm surprised how well this movie holds up today. 'Cause it's been a while since I rewatched this, and like, there is a lot of nostalgia that I do have for this movie. Because it's a film that I grew up watching a lot of the times. But even as an adult, like, there's so much to enjoy in this film. I feel like as far as like comparing this to the other versions of TMNT, this is probably one of the most memorable ones. Um, and just what they're able to do with the Jim Henson creature shop, with the turtles. They feel like real characters. Like I believe that they're actually there. I believe them talking. I believe them, you know, fighting. I believe them, joking around. They feel like actual people. They feel like actual turtles. And same thing with Splinter 2. They just feel like actual characters. And that goes a long way with them doing the practical stuff. Even though I personally don't have a problem with them doing CGI turtles. Like I didn't even mind them doing CGI with the Michael Bay films. But
Yeah, yeah.
but I cannot deny that actually having them in costume, actually having the animatronics, it just makes it feel more tangible, you know. But yeah, I thought that was great. The character moments with the turtles, Splinter, April, Casey, they were great. Shredder was awesome in this movie. I like the grimy, gritty aesthetic of New York that I wish they kept with the other films. Um, and I like, yeah, there's a balance between the 80s cartoon and the comic. I just like all this meshed really, really well. So I think I will give Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990. I will give it a solid B plus. I think it's really good, really, really good. All right, go ahead, Big B.
Yeah, there's hardly really any bad that I can say about this film. There's like certain things with design, with like costumes, and certain things with like errors with the animatronics. But even that, I can like just chalk up to, at the time this was state of the art, and it still holds up very well today. Um, the characterizations of the turtles, while most of them, I'll say felt flat in the sense that they didn't have like a lot of development outside of like Raphael and maybe Leonardo. I think that they were still really good and stayed true to how those characters are supposed to be. This movie set a bar for the franchise as a whole going forward, especially with certain characters uh, like Casey Jones mainly. Um, and the score is amazing. Like there's very few there are very few bad things that I can say about this overall. And while it's not my favorite in the trilogy, it's I'll admit from like an objective point of view, it's probably the one that holds up the most. I'm gonna give it an A personally. But
Okay, cool, 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 cool. All right, that is our thoughts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990. Tell us, what did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? How does this compare to the other versions of Ninja Turtles? Is this one of your favorites? Is it in the middle? Is it your least favorite? I don't hear anybody saying that this is like I don't hear anybody saying they didn't like this. Like
I've
or
I've
least
I've
favorite.
hardly heard anybody ever say. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that they hate this movie, and if anyone ever has, they probably got immediately just banned from society or something. I don't know.
Probably, probably.
It almost feels like it's a standard for qualifying as a human that you like this film. But
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, comment your thoughts down below and let us know. All right, so the next Ninja Turtles film we will be talking about, I'm sure Big B will be excited for this. We'll be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting into that because it's also been a while since I watched it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, tune in for that when it comes out. But if you guys enjoyed this live stream, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. I just found out recently that they lowered the guidelines to get monetized. So if I get to 500 subscribers, I can actually start monetizing streams. So I'm like, yeah, I'm very close to the goal. I'm like at 467 right now. So if there's like a good 40 of you who are not subscribed to the channel and you watch more than 3 of my videos and you haven't done anything, we got beef. So please hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing, don't forget to hit the bell while you're at it. You go ahead and plug your stuff, Big B.
Absolutely, and yeah, we need to get him there.
Yes.
Yeah, you can find me at Red, White, and Blue Streak right there. I do primarily Transformers figure reviews. Definitely a Transformers guy. Just finishing up editing my review for Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, so definitely tune in for that. I'm at 55 subscribers, trying to get to 100, so bring him on down.
Yes, please subscribe to both of his channels. He has some really good content. Really love his reviews of toys and whatnot, and he's more of a geek about this stuff than I am at times, you know. So he definitely has some really good introspective on stuff. So please subscribe to his channel, help him get to 100. Be much appreciative. But that is all we have for you Ninja Turtles fans, and we will see you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Cowabunga!